Hey Connor, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Great, man. It's the middle of a real dreary, cool, crisp Wisconsin week here, but always gets my motor going when I know we're talking football.
Yeah, me too.
So I wanted to pick up this episode this week of Definitely the Experts with Sam Beaneman and Connor Peterson here. Wanted to pick this up kind of where we left off last week. We were chit-chatting about Southern comfort food like pecan pie. Pecan pie really being the only real contentious one that there was any debate about, and it wasn't about the pie itself, more about how do you pronounce the nut that describes the pie. And I realized to myself yesterday when I was just walking around at work or going down to get my lunch from the fridge that I say pecan both ways, pecans and pecan. It depends on the context.
What?
So when it comes, the pie, as we discussed last week in way too much detail, I'd say pecan pie. But like the ice cream, butter pecan, I say butter pecan.
Butter pecan.
No, that I don't say that. I say butter pecan.
Yeah.
But I do not say pecan pie. I think it has to do with whether it's to be at the beginning of the phrase or the end of the phrase.
Okay, that's actually funny you say that because Isabel actually said the same thing. She said that it's pecan pie, but when you're just talking about the nuts, they're pecans.
Huh. Oh, that's the other. I was trying to think. I had one more food that in my mind. I have this. I have honey pecan cream cheese in my fridge right now. And I was like, well, it's not honey pecan. It's honey pecan. But if it was in front, it would be pecan honey.
So it's
not pecan honey.
So it's dependent on where it is.
Yeah, the context matters, whether it's before or after. I don't know. The thing in the sentence.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I say it one way. Well, viewers,
there it is.
Yeah.
So Alabama won that game, so it's pecan. So,
man, not even close. Did
you watch any of that?
I watched like a tiny bit of it at the end, and it was like, oh Jesus Christ, this is bad.
I think I was out in a boot Saturday night, and I saw that it was one of the places I was at. The Olive Garden had it on. As I was leaving, I looked and right when Alabama scored a touchdown to go up, end of the first half. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Didn't end up watching any more of it.
Didn't need to.
That's fine. I that's what I kind of surmised after the fact that I didn't really miss a whole lot of interesting football. So I think that just about should wrap up college football. I think college football is done.
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to win a national championship. I think.
Hot take.
Yeah. I don't.
It's Alabama's world, and we're all just living in it.
I think Michigan will be in the college football playoff probably.
And they'll get a firm spank on the ass.
Firm spank on the tuchus. Yeah.
Yep. And then it'll be Clemson and Notre Dame. And Clemson will win that, and it'll be Clemson-Notre Dame for the fourth time or whatever it is.
Clemson-Alabama?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. It's like the NBA Finals.
Yeah, just
Here
about.
we are again. Time to settle the score. Yeah, I mean, it's like whatever. I don't know. It's what you get when you have a 4-team, playoff. I don't know.
Okay, so if it was up to you, would you be in favor of playoff expansion, and how?
So, I think so.
I got an answer ready if you want to.
You shoot first if you have a more solidified answer.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would expand the playoff to 8 teams. And it would be all 5 the 5 Power 5 conferences. The conference winner gets an. So you have 5 automatic bids from from conference championships from the Power 5 conferences. So you have the Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC. So whoever wins those conference championship games are automatically in. You have 2 at-large bids that can be anybody. and then that last spot goes to very similar to how right now there's in the New Year's Six or whatever the bowl games are, those top tier bowl games that aren't playoffs. One group of 5 team has to be represented in one of those games. Do it similarly in the playoff where you get one group of 5 team in no matter what. So like this year that would be like a UCF. Hasn't lost in like 2 years. So it creates kind of some of the similar drama. It creates drama that's kind of similar to college basketball in the sense that, and it's always a thing that comes up when there's a team coming out of let's say, I don't know what conference is Gonzaga in, the West Coast Conference or something, where it's like they're clearly a tournament team.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if some podunk school out of that same conference goes on gets hot and wins that tournament, that basketball tournament, they're in the tournament, which takes a spot away from another team that is probably should be in, but they don't win their conference tournament. It'd be kind of something similar where, let's say, maybe the Big Ten would be a good example where Michigan looks like Michigan's going to roll through. As long as they beat Ohio State, they're going to roll through, make it to the Big Ten title game, and as long as they win that, they should be in the playoff. But let's say the resume is good enough with losing just once to Notre Dame. They lose that Big Ten title game to, I don't know, Northwestern or whoever comes out of the Big Ten West, who's definitely not a playoff team. You get a weird scenario where that team's in, where Michigan still has an opportunity, still can be considered. I don't know, so some weird stuff can happen like that, which is kind of fun. And it gets all 5 Power 5 conferences represented. And then you also have your underdog school out of the group of 5. You have you get those guys represented too. So kind of a mixed bag of checking all the boxes for me, at least, in terms of having a deep enough playoff field, having a broad representation, and also having some other weird fun stuff go on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's a good point to try to mirror a lot of the aspects that NCAA D1 basketball already uses in terms of deciding who gets to make the tournament. I think that you're right. It creates situations where teams that maybe wouldn't get into the playoff. But I mean, I think that's enjoyable though. I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't know. I haven't thought about it very concretely, just because I realize that it's like, I don't know, man. It's unless something like just stupid happens, which last year it seemed like it was going to be the Alabama thing was going to be the thing that broke this system, but then they ended up winning the whole thing, so it didn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the committee, the system that they have right now, it comes across as too arbitrary, even though it's a committee of people who all know a lot about the teams that are being selected, and they all have a pretty decorated resume. Everybody does, but it just it comes across as too just this team, we'll put them in, I guess. There's too many factors, I guess, that are not quantifiable, and there's too many situations where you're left with these teams at the end of the season have these records and they've lost to these certain teams, and they're not a conference champion, so what do you do with them? So I think that expanding it would solve a lot of those problems. You could still have the committee for sure, but
I guess in that scenario I laid out, you would still have the committee to determine those your at-large bids, so to speak. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you do have a clear path laid out for you from day one, that if you win your conference, you're in. Everything else aside, and then so if you don't win your conference, well, then you get left out. Well, win your damn conference.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that would be more fun.
Yeah.
Also, if it was up to me, I would get rid of the college football playoff rankings. Instead of doing those once a week for the second half of the season, I would just do it. One of my friends who I went to high school with, who went to Nebraska, kind of I think he's actually works for like the Daily Nebraskan. He's like the beat writer for the Huskers for the football team. But anyways, he had like a blog a couple years ago where he was saying, man, they should do it like college basketball, or in true college fashion, similar to college basketball, where you wait till the last minute and do it the night before it's due. It's like the college the basketball tournament selection show. They do it Sunday nights, like whatever 8:00 or something. You know, the night right when the season ends, and you don't get anything leading up to that. So, in true college fashion,
that's a good idea. I like that. Well, okay. You want to roll in some?
Yeah, let's
talk
about
some
NFL football for today. So, big news today. Dez is back. Dez Bryant signing with the New Orleans Saints. What do you? First thoughts, hot takes. What do you got? I do too,
I actually
man.
love it, to be honest with you.
It makes
I don't
a lot
know
of
why.
sense to me.
For
both sides.
Yeah, it. I was really skeptical about him signing with a team. Like, he had sat out for like such a long time, and all those talks with Baltimore and the Browns just fell through despite the money that was thrown at him. I think Baltimore actually gave him like a long-term deal, and he turned it down. So I don't know. For a while it didn't really seem to make sense that Dez was doing business the way he was doing it, because he just had a pretty lackluster last season with the Cowboys. Like, he clearly was on the decline. He had lost a step. I think I can't remember how many touchdowns he had. He was still a red zone threat, but he wasn't quite the Pro Bowl caliber guy that he used to be. But with the Saints, it's just a different game entirely, and I'm glad that he waited until they decided to call his number, because it makes sense from his perspective, because he gets a playoff contender, a team that's making a real run at it. He gets to play the fucking Cowboys in Arlington.
Oh, really? I didn't even see that.
Later this month, I think.
That's not the Thanksgiving game, is it?
He gets to play the Cowboys.
I gotta look this up right now. Let's see who Cowboys.
It's later in the month for sure.
Schedule. That would be just perfect if he was playing. That was the Thanksgiving game. He's also playing.
Well, people were like,
"Oh,
what? What did you say?"
No, I mean, yeah, you're saying you play with a playoff contender with a legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, and it's the week after Thanksgiving, right? Because 22nd is Thanksgiving in the U.S. of A. Yes. Oh, it's the next Thursday. It's the Thursday after Thanksgiving. That's goofy. They're playing 2 Thursday night games in a row. Which I guess doesn't really matter, but that's kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is that it makes sense from the Saints' perspective, because they lost Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn.
Do you know?
And he was their speedy, deep threat guy.
Do you know who the number 2 leading?
And it doesn't.
Sorry. Do you know who the number 2 leading receiver that plays wide receiver for the Saints is?
The number 2
guy? Not tight ends, not running backs, but it's just of the actual wide receivers.
Is it Traquan?
No. It's the aforementioned Ted Ginn.
What? What did you just say?
So
what?
The leading receiver on the Saints of the actual wide receivers is Michael Thomas. The number 2 guy in terms of number of receptions this year is Ted Ginn.
Oh yeah, I knew that. And that's what I was gonna.
I think he has 12 catches.
He
which is a problem.
Wow, that's not a lot. Well, he went out. Well, what I guess to paint a more complete picture here, Ted Ginn went out pretty early in the season. I don't remember what happened. Did he tear his ACL?
I didn't even know he was still in the league. Let alone playing. And
injured. Yeah, he was injured. He did something that ended his season prematurely. And so since his injury happened, he hasn't had the Saints, I should say, haven't had that number 2 spot step up. Like, luckily, Michael Thomas is just, a man's man and is having 211-yard days. But in terms of somebody who actually is stepping up to be a receiver complement to him on the other side, there hasn't been a guy. Traquan Smith has tried, but he's a rookie, so you can't, really blame him. Like, he's tried and he's been productive. But I think the person that they wanted to put in there, Cameron Meredith, he's just disappeared. He's in the shadow realm. He's fallen off the depth chart.
Yeah.
He's like the 4th or 5th on the depth chart now, and that was surprising to me because he was super productive in Chicago before he had his season-ending injury. So I don't know, maybe the injury's playing a role there, but I love the Dez Bryant signing because I think that even if it takes him a week or two to get acclimated and back into team shape here, I think having him on the other side of Michael Thomas is just
absolutely. If nothing else, is just having the threat of him on the field, at least for the first, especially the first, week or two when I'm sure he's not going to be fully acclimated with the offense and some of the getting back in game shape which is a little different than just being in regular shape. But just having him on the field, like whether he's going to draw coverage away from Michael Thomas, in terms of double team or vice versa. If Michael Thomas is still getting, double teamed, shading a safety over to his side of the field, and if you got a one-on-one matchup with Dez Bryant and you have whatever your package of plays for him for the first couple weeks, I don't. That's probably a mismatch if you have your number 2 guy one-on-one against Dez Bryant. Just by general rule of thumb, and he's playing with the best quarterback he will probably ever play with.
That was also another thing I was going to mention, was that in his last season, he did have Dak throwing the rock, and as we all are kind of more aware now of, is that Dak Prescott is a pretty fucking mediocre quarterback. Like, he's not very good.
Right.
I actually was watching this Cowboys-Titans game, and Jason Witten isn't like a very good commentator, but something he is good for is shedding some light on the Cowboys situation. Because he was obviously on the team last year, and he said an interesting thing when I was watching the game, and that was he was analyzing a play that Dak went and he was forcing the ball all night to Amari Cooper, and on one they were watching the replay and you could clearly see Dak just stare down Cooper the entire route he ran, and then hucked it over to him, and it was an incomplete pass, And Witten was like, oh, well, that's kind of like, it is Dak's fault that he's not progressing through his reads, but you also have to blame the coaches because they've set up packages for him where he doesn't have to go through his reads because they're playing to his strengths. And it sort of just left it at that, but it was like, it really did make me think man, the coaches know that he doesn't progress through his reads very well. So they specifically set up plays where he can just do that kind of bullshit, and
that's dumb.
It's
that's some that sounds like some high school offense bullshit. Where
it sounds like leaving Chaz Green in there for
yeah, right.
Sounds like that kind of a coaching
Adrian
decision.
Claiborne has 8 sacks in this game, but we'll just continue to leave him one-on-one. Plowing out on an island there on left tackle or whatever he was playing, whatever side of the ball he was on. That was ridiculous. That's dumb. If it's a one read play. This ball's going to Amari Cooper no matter what. That's stupid. That's you can design a play to go to that guy, but if it's not there, don't throw it. There's got to be multiple. There's got to be a progression. I'm no offensive genius here, but having one, if you're on a pass play, you got to have more than one read. Everybody else on the field is not just there taking up space. That seems silly.
it seems silly to. I don't know. Something about Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan just like I
think it's time to go.
I think it is, but like in Jerry world, I don't know what's to expect there.
Well, speaking of the Cowboys, in that Monday night game you were talking about, how about Kevin Byard, huh?
Dude, that was hilarious.
This was
the only reason I'm mad that he did it is because it means that if Des Bryant does it, it's kind of like it wouldn't be quite
so
as
cooler,
right? Right? Like he can still do it, I think, but like it would be so funny for him to run out to the star and throw up the X.
Yeah, man. Okay, well, Des has got to do what? Got to do either one of two things that I can think of off the top of my head. Didn't T.O., when he was playing for the Cowboys, he did the thing where he scored a touchdown, ran up to someone, grabbed their popcorn, and threw it and dumped a whole box of popcorn in his face.
Oh,
that one, or he's got to do the Zeke Elliott and hop in the oh gosh, yes, in the big
Army pot.
one of those callbacks. So,
I am loving these callback celebrations.
Joel, or Michael Thomas pulling out the cell phone.
Man, I read an article. Michael Thomas put a phone in both the end zones. Man, yeah, I thought both of those, the Kevin Byard and the Michael Thomas celebrations were spot on.
Yeah,
like,
and you can make an argument. I guess you could do mental gymnastics to make this the year of the celebration callback with if you really squint your eyes at Isaiah Crowell when he wiped his ass with the football. Like, well, I don't know, that's close-ish to Randy Moss mooning the Packer fans back in the day. So that's close enough.
That celebration is top 10 for me. Isaiah Crowell one. Man, I couldn't believe that when
I was watching that. Yeah, I had the thing on mute and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I want to know what Joe Buck's saying right now.
Well, Joe Buck was super irritated with Michael Thomas's cell phone celebration.
I didn't hear the audio from them, but I heard they were super whiny about it. Which,
yeah, him and Aikman were just like bitching about it, and like, come on, guys, like this is clearly callback.
Yeah. So I already mentioned the T.O. popcorn one. The Zeke Elliott hopping in the big kettle or whatever. I probably don't need to do the callback on that yet. That's too fresh. That was only a couple years ago.
Someone needs to do the Victor Cruz salsa
that'd be good. Break that out. Or I also like the Chad Johnson when he put the Hall of Fame jacket on when he got back on the sideline.
Yeah.
Bust out one of those. Or do you remember a few like 5-6 years ago there was a receiver for the Bills, Stevie Johnson? Remember him? Yeah, he did one where he had a t-shirt on under his jersey and he pulled his jersey up after he scored a touchdown and it was just like a white t-shirt and a Sharpie he wrote "Why so serious?" He had a couple other not great ones, but not iconic NFL celebrations, but he had a couple other noteworthy ones. I don't remember what they were. But yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing if they do any more.
Are there any other iconic ones we're missing? Randy Moss mooning people, T.O. on the star. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, without looking anything up, I'm having a hard time drawing any. But
yeah, all these throwback celebrations are pretty cool.
Anyway, yeah, I'm loving it. It's great.
And of course, the T.O. popcorn one. The guys up in Canada, that offensive lineman for the Ottawa Red Blacks, really one-upped him with chugging a beer after. That was awesome.
What an absolute unit. He chugged the whole. He's it's going everywhere. It's like you gotta play football still.
Mm-hmm. A little drunk.
Doesn't matter. All right. You got anything else in the NFL? Anything else happening?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, nothing at all. I don't know. Packers stuff, I guess. Jermaine Whitehead
gone.
Getting ejected and then ejected from the team. I think he's on the Browns. He got signed by the Browns today.
Of course he did. Going to get back together with Elliott Wolf and John Dorsey, the old Packers front office staff they got over there. And Packers legend, Demarius Randall.
God. You know, I read something today. I think it was following the Jermaine Whitehead news that it was like, man, yeah, we just like released him and we just sort of traded away Demarius Randall for kind of peanuts, like Deshaun Kaiser, but like, you know, we didn't even try to switch him back to safety. We were like, nah, man, we don't like you. And I don't know. I'm interested to see exactly what happens, I guess, with this Packers secondary.
I don't know. I like the guy. It'll be interesting to see if they try to put Josh Jackson back there. I'd like that.
Big body. It would kind of make sense, like, in terms of, the personnel that we have, I guess. You know, Bashad,
Bashad Breeland.
I don't know. I didn't really. Bashad Breeland didn't really inspire anything from me last week, but he wasn't like. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't really know what to blame that on because it's like he's new, I guess, but, I don't know. I think Kevin King needs to stay healthy, but he's fine. I like him on the outside. Jair is obviously balling out.
I thought he's like a top 10 corner, PFF top 10 corner.
Yeah, he is really good. I mean, he shut down Brandon Cooks, man.
Yeah, man.
So, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to DFS. So, last week, came away with a W. A to W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you did.
And... man, let me tell you. So I think I texted this to you, but I was talking to one of my roommates about who I should play. My lineup, I was freaking out. I was, doing the Sunday morning thing where I was like, fuck, man, who do I play? And so it was like I had enough room where I could wiggle around and I could get Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, or Kareem Hunt. Like they were all within like $100 of each other. And so I could, I had enough space where I could get any of those guys. So I was like, which one should I take? And he was like, just, stick with Kamara. And I was like, all right. So then I did, and the game started, and I don't remember who my first guys were that were playing, but they were not good. I think it was like the cast and crew of like DJ Moore and Cortland Sutton and Kyle Rudolph and Nick Chubb. Yeah. So it was like all the people that I had first playing, like my first half of the team was like just bad. Like DJ Moore scored not very many points because Curtis Samuel decided that it was going to be his day. So DJ Moore didn't do anything. Cortland Sutton, who was supposed to get the Demaryius Thomas targets, was overshadowed by Nate Heuerman, or whatever his name is, the tight end for the Broncos.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so Cortland Sutton didn't get any increase in targets. Kyle Rudolph was.
Kyle Rudolph had an interesting. The very beginning of that game was interesting because Latavius Murray went in for a touchdown and it looked like he fumbled at the goal line, and Kyle Rudolph.
Oh my God, that's right.
Rudolph
That's what
recovered
happened.
So for like 2 minutes, like Kyle Rudolph was on the board with 6 points right off the bat. And then they reviewed it, and it didn't even get reviewed like on the field, I think. But like it ended up being officially scored as a 1-yard touchdown for Latavius Murray, which
Yeah.
that was interesting. I hadn't seen one of those, but I hadn't seen that happen in the flesh before. Some sort of odd scoring, fantasy scoring oddity like that. And
yeah,
so
that was pretty much the extent of his
my
production.
front half here, I think I had all my dudes playing during the noon slot. I think so. I was up by a fair margin, knowing full well I had to hold on because you had Todd Gurley, Kamara, and Michael Thomas. A pretty heavy back, a real back heavy lineup there, 330 slot. So I didn't hold on. I did have the Dolphins
too much,
defense, and which got a solid 25, and I had Kareem Hunt go for 33. Other than that,
Matt Stafford though
bad again, 2 weeks in a row.
Yucky.
I had Latavius Murray. That's right. I had the other side of that Latavius Murray, Kyle Rudolph little exchange. I didn't get any Fitzmagic shine with Deshaun Jackson. He did try bombing it deep to him right at the end of that game, and he got picked off. But the threat was there.
Nothing.
So, yeah, just a real meh week. Only 15 points from Antonio Brown. That was disappointing. So. Yeah, I was on survival mode.
But I don't know who got the targets there because Big Ben had a pretty decent game. They must have gone to Juju Smith-Schuster.
I don't remember. Yeah, who did they go to? They must have. James Conner.
Okay, aside, quick, him too. Juju Smith-Schuster. Do you know what his real name is?
It's not Juju?
It's John Smith.
What do you mean?
He changed it. He changed it when he was 18 to Juju Smith-Schuster.
What?
But he was born John Smith.
Is Schuster so his hyphenated name, is that like a family name still from either his mother or father's side?
It's like, I think it was his stepdad
who
passed away. Yeah, he was like paying homage to.
But he
his
legally
stepdad.
changed his name to Juju.
Yeah.
So we went. So we had
from being the most anonymous person
name
ever to being
this name that's wild and out.
Juju.
Oh
yeah. So I found that out this weekend.
Fact.
That was
I didn't know
funny.
that.
Yeah. Yep. So pretty much, I don't know, to wrap that week up, the Saints LA Rams game was just kind of crazy. Alvin Kamara came out and had a pretty solid day, 33 points. Todd Gurley was stifled, so there was that. He kept him to... I think he almost had a wheel route touchdown in that game, and that would have pushed him up a little further, but Jared Goff overthrew him. So, I don't know, but anyway, they held him to not a whole lot.
The highlight there? Sorry, just switch games back to that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. Of Joe Flacco just not seeing a wide-ass open Lamar Jackson.
I did see that actually, because somebody wrote an article that was like, is Joe Flacco purposely trying to sabotage the backup quarterbacks? Because he did this with Tyrod Taylor also.
I think he didn't even look that way, but he should have.
Yeah, I think he just honestly.
So
I think he's just bad.
Yeah.
I think he's sabotaging them. Like it looks way worse on him than it does on Lamar Jackson. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I pretty much won because Michael Thomas had a franchise record day, 211 yards. Yeah, so that'll do. That'll win you a game. Anyway, so moving on to this week, Week 10, DFS favorites. So people I like in Week 10. So we'll start at the quarterback position here. I have Pat Mahomes here, just because I think that if you're paying for cash games at least, I think that you can pretty much plug and play Pat Mahomes any given week. Like, matchup doesn't matter. Like, he's gonna sling the rock like a billion times and probably get you like 25 points. So I don't think it's a terrible idea to stack Pat Mahomes with anybody, or even contrary, or like the contra play of him and Kareem Hunt. I think, or it's not even contra because he's pretty involved with the receiving game.
Yeah, him, Kareem Hunt. I mean, those are the two chalk plays. I think week in and week out, you can play those two dudes no matter what. Probably Travis Kelce too if you want. For pay top dollar at tight end too. It's a little.
Yeah, I mean this week it's a little expensive because he's like $7,000 this week.
It looks a little dicey when you talk about whether Tyreek Hill is like a fringe chalk play. I would say, where you're probably okay to play him, but he is it not as consistent as those other three dudes in terms of consistent production. He can go off in a game, without doubt, but
consistency isn't quite the same.
But you also get the added bonus of him, returns a punt. You get, there's some special teams. If you want to go for the special teams double dip, that's always an interesting thing.
Right, there's the opportunity there because he's so involved with that, and he's a return threat. Moving on though, my real top dollar guy is Drew Brees. Got Drew Brees in here, and I think he's been valued normally pretty low, but he's at $6,300 this week. We saw last week at LA that he's more than capable of slinging the rock.
For
sure. And I think that with the addition of Dez Bryant, I don't know if Dez. I don't even think he's gonna play.
I was surprised Amari Cooper played.
I don't know.
Was playing as soon as he was. We'll see.
I mean, I don't know, man. If they gave up a first-round pick,
I suppose it's a little different when you're just signing a free agent as opposed to trading.
Yeah. So I don't, no idea. But anyway, I've got Drew Brees in here, just mostly because of recency.
Yeah. The only thing I would question against that, or the only hesitation I would have against playing Drew Brees is, based on that offensive game plan they had a couple weeks ago on that Sunday night game against Minnesota, where they pretty much just were going to throw the ball underneath all night and throw the ball underneath, check it down. I think there was only a handful of passes that he even threw over 10 or 15 yards or something. And I don't know if that, not to say that would necessarily be the same game plan against Cincinnati, but it's clearly it's an option. It's something that they consider as an offensive unit. And also just, to also consider that they're playing on the road in Cincinnati, which are playing outside in, the Midwest as opposed to playing indoors. So weather conditions, and I'm looking at the weather for Cincinnati right now. I mean, it's going to be 46 and sunny, it looks like, but I mean, this is a couple days out. So it's still not as ideal conditions as playing inside. So
yeah, for sure not. A lot of this, I think, when I was making the decision, depended on Cincinnati. So with A.J. Green being out for a few weeks here, the number one guy is going to be Tyler Boyd, without a doubt. And behind him, not a whole lot of options in the receiving game. C.J. Uzomah at tight end.
Is he on IR?
Yeah, Yeah, dude. Do you see his injury, man? He broke his ankle real good.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he's done for the season. So anyway, I guess the reason why, even though they're playing on the road outside, like you said, against the Bengals, I think there's there's a recipe here for disaster for Andy Dalton and the Bengals. I think that I was reading some stats on Andy Dalton's production without AJ Green, and it dips quite a bit. No, I mean reasonably so. AJ Green is a generational talent. So not having him on the field, like, of course, he isn't going to be as productive, but I think against a Saints high-powered offense that is without a doubt going to, strike, maybe not first, but they're going to strike fast. I think that things can get out of control pretty fast, and once that happens, I don't know. I think all bets are off. And I guess you can make the argument then that Drew Brees just hands the ball off to Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and he gets no points, but I don't know. I guess I could argue it both ways, but I like Drew Brees in this one.
Well, while we're on the Saints real quick again, I know we've talked a lot of Saints today so far, but we got to talk about something. We got to talk about Taysom Hill.
Why do we have to talk about Taysom Hill?
Because
I don't know what to talk about with him. I don't know.
Well, I guess really what I want to get at is I don't need to talk about what he's doing, but what he's doing is like, he's just a good, in general, just a good football player, and the Packers were like, nah, we're good, and cut him. Like, look at all these cool things that they're doing with him.
Yeah.
And we could have had that, but
Instead, we have Tim Boyle.
Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's fair to say. I don't
jealous
know.
That we didn't.
On one hand, it's like
okay,
you have this utility guy who just like does these cool things.
Yeah, as much as
I
remember seeing, I think Facebook posts from our good buddy Ben Berchi last year. It's like, well, look at what Taysom Hill's doing. I'm like, who gives a shit about what Taysom Hill's doing? Well, you wanted your third quarterback, and now I realize, like, Actually, I agree. I want that. I want him. I want that on the Packers. But I mean,
so I want that, man. But like, I mean, I think if we're gonna do stuff like that, like, I mean, then you're insinuating that Mike McCarthy
is going to be creative on offense
in the picture. Yeah, right. Well, that's what I'm saying is that I think it's more likely that he gets his ass canned than he gets creative and does cool Taysom Hill things.
I guess that's a circular way. That's a roundabout way to get to the thing where it's like, well, if Packers are going to move on from Mike McCarthy after this year, okay, I'm game.
I mean, after reading that analysis of the sequential play calling fallacies that are happening, it's just like, bro beans, like, come on,
don't shoot your wad like, on if you're gonna show this look, check it down, and then don't blow your wad the first time you play it, or first time you run this play trying to hit the deep shot. You gotta set it up.
That made no sense to me when that was explained in this pretty boiled down fashion, because it was like, man, like, I know very little about the art of play calling, but like, I know that from like Madden.
There's literally a thing in Madden 18 where it was like you run there's the plays that are paired together, and you run this play 2-3 times, and it sets up the counter to it, where you throw the play action pass off of it or whatever.
Right. So I understand it's not quite that simple, but like, I mean, the concept remains
and it's great
because
we had a perfect illustration of it in the Sunday night game against the Patriots, where they were throwing those flare screens out to the slot receiver or whatever, throwing screens out to the receivers, and they did that a couple times, and then they to set up the shot over the top to Josh Gordon at the end of the game, and you could just see everybody, all the corners, all the DBs biting hard up on the screen, and Josh Gordon just running right past him.
Yeah,
I was like, that's good play calling. Damn it, that's what that looks like.
Right. So it's extremely disappointing to just watch our coach just get a lesson in how to call plays, essentially. It's like,
hey, how about this? Fire McCarthy and hire Josh McDaniels.
Oh shit.
Contingent on keeping Mike Pettin. Ooh.
Man, that'd be interesting.
I'm game with that. I'd be intrigued by that. Or just give me whoever's offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. Just give me another Andy Reid coach.
Honestly, though,
Doug Peterson, Matt Nagy, like whoever the other 6 or 7 NFL coaches are that are Andy Reid, come from the Andy Reid tree.
Yeah. Honest, I don't know.
Sorry
but anyway, not to get too tangential there. Back to DFS. So I've got Phillip Rivers here at 6K, middle tier guy here. Yeah, so they're playing Oakland, man, and I watched that Oakland game against the Niners and watching Nick Mullins throw all over them. Like, yeah man, they're bad. This year is done for them. They're already down the drain, and they know it. I think you can see it on their faces and through their body language. They move so slow and with no conviction. And I mean, I think John Gruden just let go of like Bruce Irvin.
Okay,
and it's like, it's just not that Bruce Irvin was like a super impact player on Oakland or anything, but it's just like. Everybody knows there that this is, all right, we're in a year that we're starting over. And this guy is letting go of all the veteran players. So I don't know. They looked real sluggish out there, and I think that Phillip Rivers is much better than Nick Mullins, and he has much better weapons than Nick Mullins does. So Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen, Tyrell Williams. I think he's my quarterback that I have rostered right now because I'm pretty confident.
We're like on the same, we're like having all these parallel thoughts since we've been doing this damn show.
Yep. Did you roster him too?
We're playing Oakland. You give me that. Give me some of that.
Whoopsies. Well, all right. Anyway, to finish this up, I got Alex Smith at 5.3K here. He normally doesn't inspire a whole lot of much anything, but they're playing Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. So I have him there as a cheap option at $5,300. For if you're, trying to make room for other big money players, it's cash games, so I totally get it that you want to make room for maybe a bigger running back, bigger wide receiver, flex position, what have you. So I think you could definitely, you could do a lot worse than Alex Smith, but $5,300 is pretty cheap.
Yeah. I put down Nick Mullins.
So that's what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
$5,200, only $100 less. They're playing the Giants. Giants are bad. That's all.
Yeah, I'm. All right. Who don't you like?
They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do not believe in the Indianapolis offense.
Why?
What do you mean why? Why not?
I mean, like, why don't you believe it? I think Marlon Mack. You didn't like the splash he made?
I guess I don't know that much about.
Yeah, he had like 35 fantasy points the other week.
Well, that means he's taking points away from Andrew Luck. Unless he's catching passes.
Well, maybe. You don't believe in the Andrew Luck T.Y. Hilton connection?
The fearful Jacksonville defense coming off a bye week.
Yeah, me neither. But I have both of them rostered in my fantasy league, so,
Well, never mind then.
Fuck myself.
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
move on, Andrew Luck.
I don't know. I agree. I agree with you. I don't know.
I don't have a good. I don't have a great reason. I don't actually know that much about the Colts this year, but they don't really seem very. They don't really. The Colts. When I see the Colts playing anybody, I don't really get real excited.
Could be an ugly game, man, between Blake Bortles and the vaunted Jacksonville defense.
So not interested in that.
But anyway,
I also got Fitzmagic playing. I know you just mentioned that, playing the Redskins. Redskins have a decent front seven. I think I mentioned that last week. Fitzmagic was bad in the first half again. So I mean, who knows? I don't think it's not sustainable. I think we've talked too much about giving Ryan Fitzpatrick too much airtime here, but over the course of the show. But yeah, maybe he'll hit a deep ball to Deshaun Jackson this week.
Man, I think my favorite part about Fitzmagic was this season after he threw like a pick six and like turned to Mike Evans, took off his helmet, and just said, "I love playing football."
When was that?
Like, this guy I can't remember what game it was.
Did not see that.
I'd have to look it up. He turned to Mike Evans and was just, I love playing football.
That's awesome.
And just sat down on the bench. He's in it to win it.
Have you ever heard
him
all right. I think we talked about this too before, but have you ever heard him do an interview? Like, how he's just so dry. Yeah.
He's so dry. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember him from Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah, from last year.
Yeah, he was like, it's like he didn't get a lot of airtime, but when he wasn't there, it was just like, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
What's up?
Real mellow guy. Dry humor.
So anyways, then another quarterback I'm not liking this week is Carson Wentz. We talked about this before the show, before we went on the air here, but for some reason, I guess I like the Cowboys defense a lot, and you don't.
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking.
I guess I'm also thinking that the NFC
sucks.
East is just a big pile of meh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Carson Wentz also has Golden Tate now.
That's true.
So, I don't know. I think they're definitely.
I'm kind of grasping at straws here, so I agree, but I don't know. I'm not big on the Eagles this year. I think they're still in their Super Bowl hangover, whatever the hell that means or whatever that's worth. But
yeah, I agree. They don't look quite as stellar as they did last
crisp
year.
As pre-ACL Carson Wentz. Not that that's necessarily affecting him, is or is not affecting him right now, but I think you can do better than Carson Wentz if you're picking quarterbacks this week. Is the gist.
Yeah, I agree.
Running backs.
All right, sort of similar story with Pat Mahomes. I got Todd Gurley here at 9.4K. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You don't even really have to look at the matchup. You can usually he got his lowest point total last week against the Saints, who were the number one run defense. So it was expected, but like even against the number one run defense in the league, like still almost put up 20 points. So, yeah. So he's definitely chalk. And so you can kind of plug and play him as long as his price remains below 10K. But they're playing Seattle, and I don't know. I think of Seattle the same way that you're thinking of Dallas, where like I think that their defense is still good.
They're not.
And I don't know.
They're okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think they're better than Dallas, but like I don't know. I think Todd Gurley will have a bounce back game. But moving on to more real people, like not real people, but like people that aren't just like chalks because they're having the season.
They're having
of their
MVP
lives.
years.
Right. I got Melvin Gordon here at 9K. We already talked about their matchup against Oakland. I think it's entirely possible that it gets out of hand quickly, and Melvin Gordon just, takes the rock for a huge portion of the game, gets a ton of touches, huge volume. When you're playing PPR like in DFS here, it means everything. So I think at 9K, he's easy chalk for cash games. Middle of the road guys, I got Aaron Jones, and I see you have him on your don't like list.
I'm still in the same boat where I haven't seen enough from the. I've seen enough from him to warrant a roster spot, but not enough from the coaching staff that he's in the game enough to warrant a roster spot.
Right. So the coaching staff is a real issue, and it's definitely an X factor where it's Mike McCarthy decides he wants to put Jamal Williams in more than he should be in. Aaron Jones is obviously not going to get very many points. But so in this game, Miami's run defense has been just god-awful, just absolute dog shit. Letting Lamar Miller run all over them when I rostered him the other week. So I have Aaron Jones in because of that, and because their pass defense with Xavier Howard, Rashad Jones, there's another guy on there that I can't remember his name. They've got all these guys that are Alonzo. Like actually really good. He's a name. I don't know if he's a linebacker though. I don't know if he plays coverage well. Anyway, I think that they have some pretty decent secondary pieces, and that could definitely have an effect because we're rolling out Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, and MVS this week. So, depending on how that shakes out, rookie receiver could get paired with a guy who, is pretty good. And as a result, I think we might rely on the running game a little bit more. But, it's tough to say because you have Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, I think at 5K, though, Aaron Jones is set up for the whole team, really, I think, is set up for a bounce-back game against Brock Osweiler. I think that with the way that the Packers have generally played after games like the one they had against New England, and I think against the one in LA where like they should have come away with the win and they just didn't. I think I've always, on the home games they've had following those, they've usually been able to bounce back pretty successfully in that atmosphere. So
also, the only Packers are undefeated at home this year. Do have a tie, but
not
they
defeated.
Have not been defeated at home.
Yeah. So anyway, I got Aaron Jones for all those sort of intangible reasons, and because I think that the Miami run defense is pretty bad. I got Dion Lewis here at 4.6K.
Who also have him I don't like list.
Yep. Man, I watched him play against the Cowboys here, and he's clearly the number one guy. He outtouched Derrick Henry by like more than 2 times. And so against New England here, after watching what Aaron Jones was able to do, and what we were sort of able to do from the running back passing game with him and Jamal Williams, I think an experienced back like Dion is going to be able to make an impact in the game for sure. I think they're going to be playing down for a lot of the game, and he's got Tennessee is going to be playing. They're playing against New England.
That's why I think that's game script is the main reason I have him on the do not like list.
Right. So normally that would dictate that, but Tennessee has -2 wide receiver options because Corey Davis is just not doing it as number one guy, and behind him is just a list of names.
They have
Dion.
They still have your guy, who's your guy? Yeah, him.
Tajay Sharp. Yeah, I don't know. Great. my guy from like 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. He's managed to get at least, I think it was at least 6 targets in the last 3 games for the receiving game. I think he's going to have a lot more against the Patriots here. So anyway, I got him at 4.6K. I was sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel there, but
you're probably right that he'll probably be more productive than I'm probably thinking he's going to be, just because I don't know, the Tennessee offense is good at running the ball, and that's really all they know how to do. So they're probably going to run the ball even though they're going to be down.
Right.
They're going to get their running backs involved, but I don't know. Yeah, so the guys I don't like, I got both Jacksonville running backs are kind of valued similarly. Leonard Fournette, 6,300. TJ Yeldon, 5,600. Again, it comes down to this game, Jacksonville at Indianapolis. That Jacksonville offense has been bad the last couple times out in a row. I don't anticipate that changing, especially when you have bad Blake Bortles. You would expect the Colts to stack the box quite a bit, and if you got Leonard Fournette is still working his way back from an injury, not 100%. So he's probably not going to get enough touches to justify a roster spot. And I mean, if you're splitting carries between T.J. Yeldon and splitting not carries but touches between the two of them, really it'd be tough for me to justify a roster spot for either of those two guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with no threat, no credible passing game threat to hold this, keep that safety out of the box. So
I think it's a Carlos Hyde game for sure.
I mean, I keep forgetting him. Yes, they got those 3 dudes, and they're probably all going to get touches. So, I mean, just in terms of that's just not enough touches to go around for any one of them to be worth a roster spot.
Yeah, man, what the hell even? I mean,
it's interesting. It's interesting from just a football perspective, but from a DFS or a fantasy perspective, it's just it's a big mess.
Or even a practical perspective, like Leonard Fournette is clearly a 3-down back, and
T.J. Yeldon's a nice.
I don't know,
like what you gotta have in your back pocket when he gets hurt. And then Carlos Hyde, I don't know why they went and got him. Did you really need it?
Me either, man.
Really need it. And we already talked about Aaron Jones and Deion Lewis, who I have flimsy.
Cool. Moving on to wide receiver here. Yeah. Wide receiver, I got Michael Thomas at 8.1K. Yeah, he chalk. Playing against Cincinnati. I already talked about the reasoning there. I think that it's super easy for Michael Thomas. If they do go up fast and really quick in the game there, I think it will predominantly be either him or Alvin Kamara for, getting touchdowns one way or the other. Michael Thomas doesn't really rely on touchdown production for his value. He's just getting, hundreds of yards every game.
Lots of catches, yeah.
So I'm pretty right. So I'm pretty confident in his production. Nonetheless, even game script wise, I think that he's just a guy that moves the ball down the field extremely effectively. I don't think the addition of Dez Bryant, even if he did play, would have any factor, especially this game, because he's so green to the team. But even moving forward, I don't think he's really a factor in terms of cutting into his production. He's too productive to be outsourced by a guy like Dez Bryant. So I got him.
100%. If anything, the Dez Bryant signing will help, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. Possibly draw away double coverage. Or, allow the Saints to set up plays to give his production back if Dez Bryant does siphon a little away from it. Anyway, I got Josh Gordon here at 6K for my middle tier guy. They're playing Tennessee, which, I mean, generally as a whole has an all right secondary, except for one piece. You know who that is?
It's Malcolm Butler.
It is Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler is bad. And guess who he gets paired up
Josh
with?
Gordon.
Yeah, Flash.
No.
So I think that he's a perfect candidate for just burning the hell out of.
I heard a great analogy this morning. I listened on Pardon My Take today, and they were talking about, man, look how smart Bill Belichick is getting, not playing him in the Super Bowl, and Malcolm Butler is like, this is coming from Big Cat, who went to Wisconsin where we went. So this is something especially the two of us know pretty well from one of the years we lived together. Malcolm Butler is an old used couch on the curb, and you're walking by and you're like, oh man, wow, this is great, a free couch. I'm gonna gobble this right up. This is great. And then someone comes out and tells you that, oh, don't take that. Someone pissed on it all over it. So we were because we. There's the one night when we were living together. I went to sleep and I woke up and we had a couch that we didn't have the night before that you dragged in, and it was a good couch, and hopefully I don't know if someone peed on it too late. Now that was a year and a half ago or whatever.
I Lysoled it, but it served its purpose.
Well, Malcolm Butler is the one that is the couch that got peed on a lot.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, he's been underwhelming to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So I I have Josh Gordon for that reason at 6K. Bottom tier guy, I got Marquez Valdes-Scantling here at 5K. With the announcement that Geronimo Allison is heading to IR, he is due to have a much more permanent role, at least for the next couple of weeks in the offense, which I think bodes well for his production. He truly is a freak of nature at 6'4" and runs like a 4.4 40. Like, he is honestly looks like a fucking gazelle out there with those strides, man. He's like a Jordy Nelson, but an inch taller and like way faster. Yeah. So like, holy shit. So I have him at 5K because I think with the Dolphins secondary, I think it's pretty easy to see that they have a lot of pieces on their secondary, but with, 3 very credible guys on our side of the ball, I think that he's going to have plenty of opportunities to produce with Aaron Rodgers hucking him the rock. So I've got him at 5K there. I like that. And that's who I've got for receivers.
The top dollar receiver I do not like would be Mike Evans. Again, we're going back to Ryan Fitzpatrick, going to that song and dance again. If you're gonna play one of those receivers between him or Deshaun Jackson, go with Deshaun Jackson just because he has that boom potential. Since for whatever reason the two of them every once in a while sync up for a 70-yard touchdown. Mike Evans though, his production with with Ryan Fitzpatrick not nearly as consistent or really productive, or the ceiling isn't nearly as high. And if you're playing a Buccaneers receiver, with the way they're playing, you might as well go for the one that at least has a higher ceiling. Sure, Deshaun Jackson might have a lower floor, but hey, I mean, for the price, I don't know what Deshaun Jackson's salary here is this week, but
it's in the 5,000.
You're better off just going that route. Mike Evans sitting at 7,000 here. Yeah,
He had a pretty bad case of the drops last week too. Caught like 1 of 10 targets.
Yeah, that's an issue. So I would say avoid him. Also, and as we talked about before, I have Alshon Jeffrey for the Eagles, playing Dallas, and that has because for whatever reason I think what it was is I don't remember what game it was, but I know it was the Dallas Houston Sunday night game a couple weeks back, and that was like a low scoring game or whatever. And I was like, oh man, Dallas's defense is good, and yeah, that's the image that's stuck in my mind here. So I'm like, and the Eagles have been not stellar on offense this year by any means. So, just the those two kind of forces coming together. I'm like, I want to avoid the Eagles in terms of playing those. Avoid playing Eagles or rostering Eagles players this week. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure the Eagles will go off for 50 or whatever, but I'm definitely an expert. And then another bottom feeder here. Again, we've talked about Dez quite a bit, and I'm saying don't roster him this week. I would say moving forward with Dez, I would be very cautious about if and when you're ever going to play him in DFS. I know you rostered him in regular fantasy, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I want to see it first before I would ever consider rostering him, at least in a cash game. In a tournament play, maybe you pull the trigger now while he's going to be real cheap. Because at one point, or once he does show, some flash of production in that Saints offense, I'm sure his value is going to skyrocket. So a cautious tournament play, but avoid cash if I were advising, which I am. I'm giving you advice.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you should never really roster very many dart throws like that. Like he's straight up is a dart throw in every sense of the phrase. Like even on regular fantasy roster where, you don't necessarily risk quite as much at all as you do playing daily fantasy. He's 100%, we have no idea what he looks like. So don't even think about putting him on a roster. I would say I wouldn't even put him on a tournament lineup until we see him at least play in an offensive snap, at least one. So, I don't know. Wait on that guy. But anyway, moving on to tight end. I got Travis Kelce at 7K. He's also a chalk kind of guy. You know, I already talked about it with Pat Mahomes. He's just far and above the top tight end. So if you're looking to stack him and Pat Mahomes, it's going to cost you some money, but you're going to get production out of it. So I got him there. Following that up, I've got Trey Burton, and they're playing Detroit this week. So I also watched the Detroit game. We watched it because one of my roommates was rostering Matt Stafford in his regular fantasy league, so we tuned into that game, and that was awful.
Dude, I that broadcast booth I think is the worst. The Tom Brenneman and
why
was it Chris Spielman? I cannot stand those guys. I think they're terrible. Because you got Tom Brenneman, who's like he's like a baseball guy, and he who was the old ABC college football, not Brent Musburger, but the guy before him, the play-by-play guy. Those last game was that Rose Bowl.
No idea.
The old Nelly guy, and he just kind of had. I always think of him kind of as like a very, very poor. Tom Brenneman is a very, very poor man's version of him. Hold on, I'm looking this guy's name up. 2005 Rose Bowl. I know it was Keith Jackson. Is that who it was? Is that his name?
I honestly have no idea.
This is bad. I'm doing my research right now. Oh God. Oh God. Radio. Shit. Referee was Dennis Hennigan. No, I don't care about that. Yeah, Keith Jackson. Okay. Legendary ABC announcer or whatever. But he kind of had a more drawn-out way of delivering things. And that's what Tom Brennan was just, oh, my goodness. Would you, this very just, what a fantastic play. Just, I don't know.
Goodness
whoa,
gracious.
Nelly, just kind of, whoa, would you look at that? I was like, oh, shut up, yo, bitch. And Chris Spielman is bad too. Okay, no, literally in that game, he's like, I don't know. I think it was, I don't know. One team had the ball, and another team was playing defense. As is, I guess the whole game is that way. I don't remember who it was, but like a D tackle just like blew up a play and hit Dalvin Cook or somebody really hard, and he's just like, oh man, look at this. I'm gonna do what you're not supposed to do as an announcer. I'm just not gonna say anything. Just watch this. And then it was just like silent for 30 seconds as like this replay played. He's like, wow, that was a great play. And I was like, what the hell?
What?
Oh my, this is so bad. So,
I'm going to do what an announcer isn't supposed to do. I'm just going to be quiet.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? They always get it always seems like they're doing NFC North games, which is what we always get up here when the Packers aren't on, so. They're my least favorite. So, sorry, off on another tangent.
Yeah, I feel that.
Had to get that off.
No, I mean, yeah. Well, anyway, I got Trey Burton here, 3.9K, playing the Lions. I think we've seen that the Lions are susceptible to some holes there covering tight end. So I got him. And after watching the Lions play last week against the Vikings, it just, not great.
The Patriots
on either side of the ball. Yeah. So anyway, I got him, and then bottom of the barrel here, CJ Uzomah, 3.7K. Really, I mean, the only reason I have him there, and I don't like really putting him on a list of people that I like. I just got him because he's like with AJ Green being out, and he is the only tight end available for Cincinnati. He's bound to get some volume, I would imagine, by the rule of numbers.
He has shown production this year.
Yeah, he's definitely shown production. It's just like it's never consistent, and it might be more consistent now that AJ Green's out. So I mean, we'll see. So 3.7K, I think you could definitely do a lot worse at tight end there. A lot of Yeah. And I'll just say I only have 2 defenses here. I've got Chicago at 3.6K, Green Bay at 3.1K. I think Chicago at 3.6K, we saw Matt Stafford just play like absolute dog shit last week. And I think Chicago has a much better defense than Minnesota. Maybe not much better, but they do have a better defense. So I think they're going to force Matt Stafford into a ton of uncomfortable situations. They're going to pressure him a lot because they're getting Khalil Mack back. I don't see a good situation for Matt Stafford, and I don't have very much confidence in the Lions. And then Green Bay, just because they're playing the Dolphins and Brock Lobster and the Aquatic Boys. I think that the only thing that's been able to bail Brock out of just, being Brock, he hasn't played just god awful this year quite yet. I think he's on borrowed time here. But the one thing that's been able to bail him out though is Kenyon Drake and Frank Gore. They both have been able to be at least somewhat productive through the course of the season. I think it's certainly helped, despite them just losing people at receiver like Albert Wilson or having Kenny Stills out. They've been able to rely on those guys, but Green Bay has a pretty stalwart run defense. We saw them hold back. They didn't perform very well against Cordero Patterson for some reason, but they were able to hold Todd Gurley to a pretty meager showing until late in the game. He sort of went off, but I think their run defense is kind of underrated sometimes, and I think they can definitely hold the likes of Kenyon Drake and Frank Gore. So I think at 3.1K at home, they're looking good.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And the only other team I would toss in there for defenses I like is Buffalo and or the Jets. They're playing each other, and both their often. That's going to be that's a hammer the under game.
You see Sam Darnold is out?
No. So is it Josh McCown's playing?
Josh McCown.
Yuck. That'd be a good Thursday night game.
Fire up your Robbie Andersons.
Hell. Yeah, so either of those 2 defenses would be fine with me. For tight ends I don't like, I have Zach Ertz because I hate the Eagles this week because I love the Cowboys defense again. So Jared Cook because I hate the Raiders offense playing the Chargers. Actually, never mind. Play Jared Cook because they're going to be down and they're probably going to be throwing the ball a lot. So I don't know. And then Jimmy Graham. Do not like Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has 1 touchdown this year and has really just not. He
has 2.
Didn't mean to
twice
fade
as
him
many.
like that, but dude is I don't know, his production is 1 or 2 doesn't matter. He's not getting a lot of balls thrown his way. Not to say he doesn't have a role in the Packers offense and drawing coverage or drawing double teams, which I guess he's doing. But it doesn't count that you don't get points for that in fantasy. So
no. Man, every time he gets a catch, it's great here. It's like, that's a $10 million catch if I've ever seen one. Like, every single one, it's like, man, $10 million man out there.
Okay, I'm saying this right now, for the rest of the Aaron Rodgers regime, or Aaron Rodgers' reign of terror, I am not drafting, for regular fantasy, I'm not drafting the Packers tight end. I've done it. I've tripled down on it. I was like, Jared Cook. They're getting this real tight end. This first real tight end since Jermichael Finley, and they didn't really do anything. And then, they're getting Martellus Bennett. Okay, this will be different. They can't go 0 for 2 on tight ends. Oh, that was worse. And then I don't know. Jimmy Graham has been. I don't know if has he. What?
He's a guy.
Yeah,
he's a red zone threat.
I don't know. I think thus far has he been worse than, or has he been less productive than Jared Cook? I don't know. Tough to say. Well, the fact that it's a question.
There's a lot more
and the
season
fact that
left.
It's, at this point it's like I don't know. Yeah, okay. I'm out on Packers splash tight end free agent signings from now until there's a new sheriff in town.
I agree. Yeah, so, that's fair to say. Well, all right. I think that pretty much. You wanna? Who's your odd flex of the week here? Who's in your flex position right now? Just to check and see if it's in mine.
Odd flex.
I actually got an odd one. I got Mark Ingram.
He almost like broke his elbow or something in that Saints game.
Yeah, he had a spill there.
I thought there was no way he was coming back. I thought for sure his like forearm or his elbow was broken.
Surprise, motherfucker. Yeah, dude, I've got him. And
I have in my flex position Josh Gordon.
Oh, do you now? I have him in my wide receiver position.
Do you have Cooper Kupp? Do you have George Kittle?
Nope.
Oh, you don't?
Nope.
You do have Phillip Rivers. Nick Chubb?
I do.
Tariq Cohen?
Nope.
Calvin Ridley?
Nope.
Marvin Jones Jr.?
Nope.
Packers defense? Oh, okay. So we only got two of the same dudes.
That's pretty
what
good.
Usually happens.
All right, I can do that.
I always want to call Marvin Jones Jr. Henry Jones Jr. That's Indiana Jones. That's his name.
Oh. It's a real Indiana Jones out there. All right. Well, moving on to regular fantasy here. Regular fantasy is looking like a hell of a time. I got my ass kicked last week. Was super disappointed because I thought it was a for sure win against this guy who hadn't won a single game. So I got fucking killed. And so I this week is kind of like bye week hell, and also injuries have just like racked my team. I have even less confidence in my team than I had the week before. Starting people that I just don't really want to start, but I have to because I don't have anybody. I'm really banking on Lev Bell coming back and Dez Bryant I drafted Dez Bryant because I thought, why the hell not? There's nobody on the waiver wire that is going to do anything for me at this point, so I might as well try to, huck this up for some points. And maybe I can flip him for trade value or something. Maybe somebody will trade for Dez Bryant if he plays well. Probably not. Nobody's trading in our league. So really just depending on like Lev Bell and these other people to come back. And I don't know. I got to beat you to get into the playoffs, I think. And I'm like a game or two behind you at this point now. So
if that's worth anything.
Yeah. So yeah. We'll see. There's 4 weeks left of regular season.
We'll tell you
so.
what, actually, never mind. I was gonna make you a potential trade offer here for Dez Bryant, but I don't need a receiver. I got like
you've got receivers.
I was gonna offer you Kerryon Johnson, but nah, I'm good. Never mind.
Don't need him.
Nope.
Well, yeah, that's what's happening in fantasy land for me.
I'm rolling with a pretty steady lineup. I just snagged. You just dropped Andy Dalton, so I snagged him up in case I want to roll with him. I think I'm going to stick with Mitchell Trubisky. Didn't have a great game last week. Only got me like 8 points, but I'm gonna roll with him again this week. Again, playing the Lions, so I feel good about that. Yeah, and then I don't know, my 2 running backs that I'm still not sold on with Kenyon Drake and Tariq Cohen. Feel better about Cohen than Drake, but I don't know, we'll see. But really leading heavy on my receiving core of DeAndre Hopkins, who's on a bye this week, so I got Calvin Ridley filling in for him. Robert Woods, and who's my other receiver?
Michael.
Oh yeah, Michael Thomas. Oh yeah,
that guy.
So, Greg Olsen, the tight end. Yeah, So I'm feeling pretty confident.
Greg Olsen was a good pickup. He's pretty productive.
Yeah, Carolina team's for real. Good cam and good defense and a lot of stuff going on. So
nothing to complain about there. So regular fantasy sucks.
Love it.
Yeah. Not for me, I guess. Anyway, moving on. NCAA matchup of the week. I looked at the list that everybody's playing. I think the big game was supposed to be Wisconsin-Penn State.
That's not.
And then so we've got Ohio State, Michigan State.
This is a winnable game for Michigan State.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Nebraska almost beat them.
Right. I was so mad when Nebraska didn't pull that off. So how do you think we should go about dictating who wins here?
Let's talk marching band. Because we're a bunch of fucking nerds.
All right, let's talk marching band.
Drumline's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take that.
There you go.
So yeah, I don't know if for those listeners out there that aren't aware of our backgrounds, we were both in the Wisconsin band. Both played marching band.
We didn't play,
and so we're both kind of familiar.
Play school.
What? Nah, went to school to play band. So we're both pretty familiar with like Ohio State's band and Michigan State's band. We're aware of like the capacities of both of them. And Michigan State is like by and far the superior band.
Ohio State gets a lot of
ties to drum corps.
Gets a lot of shine for their drill, which is dope and shit. But Michigan State can just fucking play.
Yeah, so I mean that's something that like it's something that honestly I hope happens at Wisconsin after this whole regime comes to an end with Mike. I think there's plenty of opportunity to be like more progressive with things like drill and like Ohio State, like their capabilities I think are like right in the same ballpark as Wisconsin. Like in terms of musicality and like general attitude and demeanor of the group. You know, I think it's pretty similar to Wisconsin. The only difference being that like they had, you know, their director fucking fired because of the stupid bullshit, and Wisconsin did not because our professor was tenured and, you know, pretty much just is literally, you know, his name is a connotation to the state of Wisconsin. So anyway, yeah, I think it's pretty similar, and so I do give them props for their drill design because it is super creative and it's very well done most of the time. But like you said, Michigan State can just play, like in a word, I guess. Like their drum line is real tight. So yeah, I'll take Michigan State in this.
Go green. Sparty up.
Speaking of going green, the referendum passed here in Dane County to legalize marijuana. It sure did.
That's what.
So now, you know, for the first time in my life, I can smoke weed.
When does that actually go into effect?
I have no idea. I didn't read any of the details of this whole referendum. I just, you know, voted for it when I voted and then saw that it passed 80% to 20% and was like, hell yeah.
But it's not legal in the state, though, is it? So how does that work?
No.
Is that just like when it's like legal? It's so when like a state legalizes it, but it's still federally illegal?
I mean, like pretty much. Like so it's not quite on the state level where like you'll see in like Colorado and Washington, they have like literal dispensaries set up. So I think it's not quite at that level, but like I don't think you can get like it was already decriminalized in Dane County, so you couldn't like get sent to jail for possession of marijuana or anything. But I don't even think you can get like fines or anything for it anymore. I could be totally wrong on that, but I mean, I think that's what it means. It's taking it a step even further down than what it already was.
Well, smoke them if you got them.
That's what it's about, man.
Well, see, it's interesting too because I know Michigan voted to legalize weed last night. I think I heard that right.
Yeah, that's correct.
To where I am here up in Green Bay, because I'm not that far from the UP, from the Michigan border up there. And then also one of my coworkers lives in Manitowoc, and they have the ferry that goes across the Lake Michigan to Michigan. So I was like, well, all of a sudden the SS Badger is going to turn into a fucking weed run. Probably not, but maybe. Or you just make the quick drive.
It could. I don't know.
Across the Menominee River, and once you get up into Noggin or whatever the hell the town is, it's across the river. Iron Mountain. Go up there to the dispensary.
Man, what a time to be alive. Can't wait for those to pop up in Wisconsin, honestly. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, all right. Thanks for tuning in this week to Definitely the Experts.
Rate, share, subscribe, ring the bell to get emails or whatever.
Hell yeah. Like us on Facebook if you haven't already, on Instagram also. Check out our Patreon. And we'll catch you next week. See ya.